A safety tip a week keeps your account security at peak. In the previous videos, we taught you how to identify scammers to protect your account. In this video, we'll be going through some of the consequences that might happen if your account gets stolen, and what you can do to prevent it. When scammers steal a game account, they usually start by deceiving a player to obtain their password, and then change it to prevent them from logging into the game. Next, they'll try to unlink and tamper with the mobile number and other information associated with the account. As a result, not only will all the items in UC in the account be lost, but the scammer will also spend all the UC to get items and use the gifting feature to sell them to others. Or they'll continue to post phishing messages with the stolen account to deceive other players. They might even impersonate the player and ask friends on the account for their passwords. Then rinse and repeat if they get hold of another account. In some cases, they might try to sell the stolen account directly. Worse still is when they use the account to cheat or commit other violations, which could lead to the account getting permanently banned. In order to prevent this from happening, we need to keep our eyes peeled for scammers. In the next video, we'll be going through in more detail how you can protect your account. What other account risks have you come across? Let us know in the comments.
A new 1.6 by 1.6 kilometer map is coming to PUBG Mobile version 2.7. In this map, there are several energy zones where you can receive random attribute boosts, such as increased speed and health recovery. At the same time, lots of supplies spawn in the area. Be sure to grab them while you can. After finding all the supplies in an area, you should keep moving to find more supplies. The fastest way to move about is through portals. Go through one to teleport to the other side somewhere else on the map. After exploring an area, it's best to teleport somewhere far. However, it's important to note that there's a cooldown after use, so it can't be used too frequently. If you want to travel across mid-distances, be sure to take note of the updrafts on the map. Get close to an updraft to get lifted into the air. After reaching a certain height, you'll descend back to the ground. During your descent, you can freely adjust your direction to head to your destination. This transportation method is very handy for escaping dangerous situations. Another thing you have to watch out for are the volcanoes on the map. The lava erupting from these volcanoes can cause damage within a certain range. Be sure not to step on the lava. Otherwise, you'll keep taking damage and lose health. After arriving at a new area, be sure to search for exclusive crates. Approach them to get exclusive themed supplies. Apart from exclusive crates, timed airdrops are also a great way to get supplies, so make sure to keep an eye out for the countdown timer on the minimap. It indicates when an airdrop is about to appear. After the countdown ends, a crate with amazing supplies will rise from the ground. When this happens, there will surely be many enemies vying for the crate, so make sure to lie in wait beforehand and evacuate quickly after grabbing the supplies. If you get injured when going for the supplies, go to the recovery point indicated on the map. You'll be able to heal there. Just run into it to fully restore your health and armor in an instant, just like with teleporting. The recovery point has a cooldown after using it. It can't be used again until the cooldown ends. If the battle gets too intense and you find your teammates eliminated, you can bring them back within a limited time at the towers located on the map. The towers also have cooldown after being used. Each player can only be brought back by a teammate once. Players that have been brought back will directly respawn near the tower that was used without having to jump back to the battleground. Hurry and join your friends in the fight for victory. PUBG Mobile version 2.7 will be available soon. Let's check out the new updates in Classic Mode. In this update, we've added a new Ace-32 firearm. It uses 7.62mm ammo and will be available on all maps, as well as in Metro Royale. Like the M416, the Ace-32 also has 6 attachment slots. Do you think Ace-32 will be more popular than M416? Try it out now. In the new version, 2-seat bikes can now fold up and be stored in the backpack. Just like mountain bikes, they can also jump, but only when ridden by one player. Teammates or enemies that are knocked down can now also be carried onto vehicles. Knockdown players can only be placed on passenger seats, and they can get off if they wish. How do you plan to use this new feature? Let us know in the comments. Players can now bring their companions into the training grounds and interact with them. Be sure to bring your companion along for training. Additionally, we've also improved the companion spectating system. When a teammate is spectating, their nickname, teammate number, and other information will be displayed. In this new update, we've continued to make improvements to the throwables slot. Now, when there are multiple items in the throwables slot, such as melee weapons, classic throwables, and exclusive themed items, they're sorted in a logical order to select more easily. We've also added firearm attribute tags. Newer players can go to their backpack to look at the tags of a firearm they picked up to quickly grasp its characteristics. On top of that, we've also added a background effect, the latest RP's Victory Dance. Go perform the Victory Dance with your friends. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. See you next time.
guys? Welcome to day 3, week 3, right here on the Summer Brawl. We're getting ready to hop in to some nice, potentially very sweaty action as we are going to be hopping into a bit of that duo action, right? We've seen the squads play, we've seen the solos play. Now we're prepping for duos to see exactly what they are going to be bringing to the battlefield. My name is DK. I am joined by Axfire Tony, and we're going to be taking you through all the action here. Now, Tony, we've got an interesting lineup, right? We've seen the teams qualify for this event, really locking in some impressive plays. We did see some of the teams picking up like 13, 16, 14 eliminations across those qualifying matches. Now I want to see how that is going to translate into the action moving into today. All right, so we'll get on to Tony's opinion in a little bit. I think that we're practicing a little bit of mimery today, right? So Tony's just going to sit there and wave at us. But either which way, of course, we are getting closer. I'm just pulling Tony's leg. We are getting closer to hopping into our matches here for today to see exactly what our teams are going to be bringing to the battlefield. Of course, we will be taking a look at that momentarily. But yes, building up to the third week, as we know, moving into the next week, we are going to be heading back into the squads for the opportunity for a little bit of that leg flexing to come through. Yet again, there's a big, glorious prize pool that our participants are playing for as well, which we'll be taking a look as we are getting closer to the action here. But of course, for the first match of the day, I believe we are going to be heading over into the lovely Erangel. We have a bit of a change up coming through. Now, whenever Tony is ready, we are going to have a bit of a chance to hear that voice come through as well. But yeah, of course, already over the previous week, right, quite a bit of playing has come through as we've kind of whittled away at those teams, trying to bring them down to the final few contenders that are going to be stepping into this battlefield. I think the exciting part about what we're going to be having here is that we also have quite a few teams actually that are going to be stepping to this plate. In the qualifiers, we did see a team like Choco Milk, for instance, secure themselves 16 eliminations, and all of that without a single winner chicken dinner. So again, consistency proving to be absolutely essential, absolutely key here. We did have Fantasitos coming through with a good play. They secured their winner chicken dinner. We had Aerodynamic, the Chessie team as well on the opposite end. We had teams like Ego, the Old Gangsters, as well as the FY Esports squad securing themselves a bit of victory. And those are, of course, just a few of the teams that we are going to be looking at here today to see what they are going to be bringing to the battlefield. So let me just double check. Do we have Tony at the ready to hop in? Can we hear that voice come through? Don't know just yet. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Houston. And do we have permission? All right, so Tony, I don't know, let's take a look at the calendar in the meanwhile while we try and get all the ducks in a row. So we've already concluded the 28th of July. We've obviously also then concluded the 4th of August. So it is going to be that opportunity for the duos now to see how they are going to be performing. Excited to see what it is going to bring to the table. So if any of our viewers have any predictions, be sure to let us know in the chat. But of course, also part of the contribution or part of the fun here that we are going to be looking at is, of course, that opportunity for that share of the UC, right? So we know we've got a few codes that are going to be dropping in as well. So curious to see if we are going to be taking a look at our participating teams to see exactly who will be making their way on through. So we are going to be stepping up on Erangel, Murmur, and then, of course, heading all the way over into Sadok as our teams will have that opportunity. You can see them, the Old Gangsters. We've got the Overdami as well as Evolution, of course, Tijuana. We've got Revive Me, Choco Milk, Fantasitos, FY Esports, as well as Aerodynamic. Curious to see that one, especially for them heading down to the ground. We got Split Team Overhaul, Mont Gaming, Ego, Chessie Team, as well as Easy and the Lycans, of course, to close up the lineup. So some very exciting names, of course, a few familiar names in there as well. We also saw a few of the players participating in the solo stretch, so there's going to be that opportunity to see maybe a little bit of that continuation, maybe even more of that build-up following its way onto that battlefield. Of course, aside from our participating teams, we are also then going to be utilizing our scoring system to see exactly how these teams will be able to allocate themselves those points, right? As we know, the eliminations are going to be coming through, looking to see how many of those the teams can capitalize on. But of course, also depending on where they finish, they'll get a few additional points to come through then as well. So we'll be heading into that graphic momentarily to take a bit of a gander, see exactly what that break time will be. But it's the one that we've seen across the board, right? It is new, it is fresh to the 2023 season. Of course, that first place being with 10 points, it then trickles all the way down to 9th to 16th position. Unfortunately, not being worth any points, but they can make up for those with eliminations, right? So the more aggressive they are, the more points they can add to the tally on top of those placement points. Now, the placement points, they all allude to something. That is going to be the positioning of these teams, where they finish up, and as we've already kind of said, it is going to be for the prize pool to get their share of it, right? So we are going to be looking at a prize cash pool, as well as a bit of UC coming through, as well as we've seen in the previous weeks. So we'll take a look at that soon as well. So yeah, be sure to keep your eyes on screen. Absolutely glued to them. Have your redemption page open, because we are going to be dropping a bit of UC coming through on screen as we progress through the day. First place is going to be worth a lovely $350 and of course 2 servings of 5,000 UC. To see the same situation with UC wise going through for second place, but all the way down to 6th place is where we can see that breakdown coming in. So 5th, 6th, that is essentially kind of where you want to aim for at the very least to get your share of a little bit of that cash. But of course, our MVP will be picking up a lovely 10,000 UC. So a lot to push for, as our doers will get to lock that in. I mean, very exciting prizes that we have here. And of course, speaking about excitement, Whitebeard will love to hear what your thoughts are on this. So be sure to, well, give us a bit of a share over on social media as well. So you can hit us up on X, as well as on Insta, Facebook, well, YouTube where you're watching right now. And if you want to be part of these events, be sure to head over to the Discord server, where you can get into the registrations, get your squad, get your players locked in and out onto the battlefield. But let's just double check if we have an additional Tony in the wing. Not just yet. We are going to be building up to that. But yes, right, match number 1, as we mentioned already, is going to be heading over in the direction of the lovely Erangel. So the bread and butter of PUBG. These teams should be very, very comfortable playing their way through it. Of course, being able to stretch those legs, show us what power they possess, and who's going to be the one to lock it in here for the Summer Brawl. If you've got any predictions, aside from dropping them in the chat, if you want to give a few shout outs, of course, head on over to social media as well. You can still see those lovely codes on screen. Now, last week during the solo section, we did see Barbie bring in a very strong performance, taking 2 of the victories on the first 2 matches of the day. I'm curious to see if we are going to be having a similar kind of play come through here for today, right? Potentially bringing in quite a bit of that chaos, a bit of a setup, a bit of an upset as well, right? You can take it whichever way you like. But yeah, we got to see all the action play on through. Should have a bit of Tony ready as well. So Tony, are you excited to see all the action here for today?
Yeah, I'm super excited to see the action that's going to go down today. Before I was ready to speak, I was ready to go, but for some reason the mic was not just in the same wavelength as I was. But gladly we're here. We're here now. Last week was super exciting. It was solos. We saw so much intelligent gameplay coming through. Now I'm wondering if you then have teams in duos and playing the same way they played last week. We saw some good gameplays coming from Brittany. How would they play if they still have someone else to watch out for them? So yeah, I'm looking forward to see those plays that I saw last week going down today again.
Yeah, and I called Brittany Barbie, but you know what? It's a B word, so it works. And it ends in a Y, all the same. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see definitely how they are going to be looking to push through this, whether or not the dominance will be featuring at some point. I mean, duo is always a lot of fun to see, as you have the opportunity to get raised up, so it's not as stressful as we have when we are in the solid part of things. You can run a little bit and then you get hit and it's like, oh my god, I'm in trouble now. But yeah, duos you know, you have a bit of backup, right? You have a bit of that reinforcement coming through as well. So excited to see how that is going to play out. In the meanwhile, of course, we are going to be taking a look at our map list as well. I've already mentioned them, but it helps to see those graphics on screen, as there's been so much work put into them, right? So we got Erangel, followed up by a little bit of Murmur before venturing over into Sanhok. So, I mean, it's our three usual suspects coming through, right? The bread and butter, then we add a little bit of dust to it, and then, of course, we get nice up close and sweaty as we venture into the jungle. Now, Tony, out of these three maps, which one are you looking forward to the most?
I'm definitely looking forward to see what's going to happen in the Sanhok game, because that one is going to be super aggressive. It's a lot smaller. We have dual squads. I know, judging from the way they played last week, I do think their teams are going to be very aggressive in the way that they will make their push. And that map is going to be the most exciting for me, and it's great to see that it's probably the last one of the night. Erangel is going to be sort of like a mix. I do think that Miramar is going to be a bit slow, but Erangel, you know, teams are. It's the first game. Everyone's going to be feeling each other, you know, getting to sort of like understand the lobby today and how the teams are going to be playing. And then Miramar is probably where you know, teams would have settled down. Then Sanhok, it's a lot smaller. It's usually a lot more aggressive. We're going to see those boot camp plays, and I do think it's going to be wild.
Well, wild is what we want. Now, speaking about wild, what would your expert opinion be on the flight path and that zone, right? Me personally, I want to see a decent start, maybe a kind of centralized flight path to come through. But of course, the zone, I'm open to any direction, right? It can literally go anywhere it wants.
Yeah, definitely. The flight path definitely a lot of times does dictate the play of the game. Usually, if it goes all the way up north and the teams have to move all the way towards that region around Rosehawk, it does mean that it's going to be a lot of bridges that those teams will be crossing. There might be some bridge camping. Same thing if it goes all the way south. But when I'm taking a look at that map right here, and it's all the way towards that northwestern and southwestern region, and I think it's still fine for me, because there's still a lot of space for these teams to work through. It still cuts across the center, and I do believe that teams who do not find their spot will obviously be moving all the way towards that eastern side.
Well, let's see if that is going to be the case. Of course, I wouldn't say no to a lovely eastern zone to come through. Ooh, and that is exactly what we have. It is going to be east at least. I gotta love it. So a little bit of love is going to be shown up onto Wood Shelter and the surrounding area. But now the teams look to get themselves spread out. Already we can see the players there from Barbie Goal and Co. taking the push down towards that southern edge. That, of course, then being the players from the side of Fantasitos, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So the opportunity is there for a little bit of looting, especially seeing that the military base is uncontested, right? They can just have a nice leisurely stroll, grab a few weapons. I hope to see the situation not be the same over in towards Pachinki, as we might have a little bit of action coming through quite early on.
Yeah, definitely. Both players definitely poised and ready for this fight. You can see him already getting his weapons looting up and ready for that fight. I do believe he's already spotted the ops right there in front of him and is looking to see how they can take on this fight. So definitely it's early on right here, and strategies definitely will be tested. And it'll be curious to see how this one does go down. DK, if you are in this position, what would you do? Would you try to be aggressive early on, or just play it out a little bit slow?
Well, I mean, we do have a slight advantage here, right? We can see what the rest of the area looks like. So, even not knowing that, I would probably try and get a little bit aggressive more towards the early parts of the game, because as you know, you are weak, your opponent is also obviously weak as well, right? You don't have all that loot that you are going to be, well, that you could potentially be gaining a little bit later on. But the old gangsters, we've seen a few plays from them over the previous events, but we did see Clot last week as well, so that is of course already creating a bit of a potential expectation to come through from the side of Easy. Meanwhile, the Cheesy team going to be looking for a little bit of a play all the way up in towards Saverni as the first few shots connect on through as they contest with the aerodynamics, right? And a very smooth, steady sail coming in as they do secure their first Elam. Now, one more to go.
Yeah, definitely. Tensions are obviously beginning to rise. There's several different teams, especially the boys from Cheesy, are already getting into the mix of the action right there. There's also the boys from Old Gangsters. Now, we did speak about this, what the strategy would be for them. Would they be taking things a bit more aggressive? But it does look like they're being a lot more conscious right here as they're not properly looted and ready for that fight. He's holding a DBS, but it may not really help him when it comes to the long-distance shots. But it does look like on the other end, the boys from Cheesy are taking on, the attack in their own fight. So I do believe that this move is going to be one between two teams who are being absolutely cautious. You can see that Azin and Clot are just moving away from themselves right there.
Yeah, so trying to get themselves wrapped around Jinky. Meanwhile, it is going to be Sad and Ocean all the way up to the north, representing for the Chessie team. But again, will we see a bit of aggression being shown here? As we know, right? Aerodynamics down to a solo, but Yusuke now just keeping it nice and quiet, not wanting to be found out just yet. And this will allow them a bit of a play, but I think I see one problem there is Yusuke doesn't necessarily have a vehicle to utilize to get themselves out of that. So they are going to be tanking on a little bit of that blue damage before we maybe have them rotate back into safety. But speaking about safety, there is going to be limited supply of that currently in towards Pochinki here. We also see a little bit of something brewing in the direction there of Yasnaya Poliana. But again, nothing too overly dramatic just yet. I mean, it is Duo, so there's a lot of space, a lot of wiggle room to play through as we got the players from Revive Me making their way more towards that western side and then over on towards the eastern front. That is, of course, then where we have Mont Gaming. A few shots now finding their way in on towards the OGs, the Old Gangsters. Oh, and now Katri having to try and just close that gap, maybe going in for a bit of a res.
I do think at this particular moment, the goal definitely will be to stay alive. Daku's in an open position. Getting that revive will be almost impossible. Azin has his sights definitely locked onto Daku. I think this is one of those moments where they should have played it a bit more aggressive. When they did have the opportunity, he had the DBS, probably not playing it too cautious was probably the best way to go. But definitely it's happened already. I do think at this point in time, the best thing for Katri would be to get away from that position, and that's obviously what Docker is telling him, and you can see right there the confirmation has already come through.
Yep, it is pretty tough, but it gives a bit of a taste of what we had last week with the solos running all over the place. There was quite a few of them, but situations could have been worse, especially looking elsewhere across this map. Up in Yasnaya Poliana, as I've mentioned before, we had those two groups of duos making their way on through, but of course they are then joined by, I believe that is the Chessie team that has rotated all the way from where we saw Isuko all the way to the northern edges. Now Easy is going to start to expand their own option here, their own reach, as they could take the plunge, maybe looking for the Old Gangsters or find that rotation in a bit of a position further in the zone.
Yeah, I do think the goal for them is to continue to get that elimination. They're looking for the last guy, trying to see if they can get those extra points to come through, but obviously he will be able to escape the boys right there from Clot, and they will be able to continue to then now rotate into that zone. So this is where things are being a little bit, aggressive in the beginning, getting a little bit of elimination or two, and then it goes a bit quiet because everyone's now trying to get their spots. But I do believe that the tensions are going to rise any moment, and things would begin to ensue. All of these teams would get into those skirmishes as the zone begins to close down.
Yeah, but see, the moment that you see "my name is Jeff," you got to say it with the appropriate accent, right? You got to do it the 21 Jump Street way. My name's Jeff. Right, that's the you got to hit it that way. And I'm pretty sure that is the intended and the intended pronunciation, all right? If not, it should be, because that is quite a bit of a fun one, a good callback to 21 Jump. But in the meanwhile, speaking about 21 Jump, right, Mont Gaming Now, not exactly going to be pushing for 21 eliminations, but they have a bit of an opportunity here to get the jump on the other two duo squads that we have in this region. And I like the fact that they are set up more towards that southern side, so they know that the other participants are going to have to rotate at least in their direction to get themselves in a position and maybe could turn into a bit of a successful run for them.
Yeah, I definitely think so, because a lot of different teams are converging around that region. We can definitely sense that a battle is about to brew in this particular position, and it'll be curious to see who does first get the knock onto the next team to begin to open up those fights that will be coming through. But you can see right now, both of them are just anxious to see where the different teams or what the different plays are going to be. You can see them. My name, Jeff, the man, Jeff, is, just waiting around. He's lurking, he's looking. He knows that there are several different teams who are trying to get into that zone. But speaking about teams trying to get into zone, we do have the boys from Lycans. We spoke about them before. They're currently in that blue zone. And DK, I mean, you spoke about the Lycans early on. You think that they do have something up their sleeves?
Well, they might have something up their sleeves. If not, they should roll it up and they get right down to business. In the meanwhile, center zone is where we could find a little bit more of that action. Now about to hit the battlefield, as we've got over Dammy holding on the western front. Just sharing the space here with them is, of course, going to be the players from Force Tijuana. So I'm curious to see how both these duos are going to be looking to play out the position, because, I mean, looking at Shelter, there's a lot of hiding spaces, right? You can just go down the one rabbit hole, come out the other hole, surprise your opponent, and then, go for a different approach. Last week also we did see Lycan Moon playing quite a bit of a match over onto the lovely Vikendi. Curious to see what the Lycans are going to be doing now, whether or not they could be howling at the moon, or if you're going to see some of those claws really come out.
Yeah, absolutely. Things are currently quiet, but usually this is where, the most explosive battles begin to ensue. Just when you blink, you then begin to see, teams being engulfed in several different skirmishes. But obviously for now, everyone is being, should I say, for lack of a better phrase, tactically silent right now and waiting for the unexpected, as several different teams are just, being really patient. You can see them just rotating around that map, looking to see if they can spot several different teams along the way and maybe, just maybe, get one or two eliminations.
Yeah, that would be the ideal. That would be the goal here, Tony. But speaking about goals, Zorn has also now revealed itself, right? Leaning a little bit more towards the western side, but still being inclusive of Shelter. So that is going to allow for quite a bit of continuation to come through, as the Lycans are now looking to join the fray. But we've got several more teams moving in from that western side. So I like the spread that we've got currently with the teams, but I'm pretty sure that Morg is not going to be enjoying that spray down as the vehicle now goes up in flames and they drop to their knees.
Quite unfortunate one right there for the boys from Lycans, as they do get dropped down to the ground. It is the boy Krimas who does put in that pain onto one of the players, and he does get that elimination for his team. And my goodness, what an unfortunate event coming through right there for the boys from Lycans, as they were on the search. We were hoping to see a lot more from him and Moon, but unfortunately this game has gone sideways for them, DK. But we'll see. I mean, I love that name. I love the Lycans. And we'll see if they can perform a lot better in the next game.
Yeah, only time will tell. In the meanwhile, it's going to be Luxury just looking on as they are waiting for that opportunity to strike. Meanwhile, Force Tijuana, they have none of that luxury. They are going to just have to get down to business, as we've got Suavi, Cremas, and Sakfro, I guess. Not quite sure as to the pronunciation, but we'll wing it. Now moving themselves down into the lovely Shelter region as well. Again, right, the tension starting to build a little bit closer towards that center zone. Essentially, all our players are now within the safe region, so they don't have to stress with that blue zone closure that is going to be coming through. But it's all going to depend now on where the snake zone is going to be shifting as to who would potentially have a slight bit of that advantage to play for. But again, decent spread, so I think it's difficult to predict exactly where the next engagement could potentially be coming from.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see, where things continue to face. But all of these teams are gearing up right now. We can see that the boy Krimas is currently feeling really excited. But he will obviously be willing that elimination did escape him. I thought he did get that one, but it does look like it was stolen by another team. DK, and I do as a player myself. I do think a lot of times that when you've done all that hard work, especially taking down one of the Lycans, it obviously feels you definitely feel really burnt out to lose, eliminations like that, especially when you've done all the work. But we're on the verge of having another fight coming through right there, as we do see Ocean and Sad moving within this region where Krimas and his teammates are currently located right here.
Yeah, I mean, that, of course, being the Chessy team, so I want to see if we are going to be having a bit of a checkmate, maybe working in their favor, as the blue zone is going to be closing its way on in, yet to reveal where the next phase is going to be taking us. We got Overdammy still holding nice and steady. Again, looking to see what potential opportunities they can spot across the way. And of course, as we could see on the map, just over towards that western side, is going to be a lot of that pressure coming through, right? That then being applied from the Revive Me squad. But now, Overdammy getting ready to jump on into action. And moving towards center zone is going to be quite the trying play, because there's not a lot of compounds currently available. You see some of the good choices that we have is already occupied, so they're going to have to settle for a few of these shacks along the way. And of course, well, quite a bit of that spray down that is going to be finding its way on through. As I was talking about, Revive Me applying that pressure, and that is exactly what we now see come to fruition.
Oh, definitely getting that one knock to come through, but Dexter is trying as much as possible to see if he can hold on in this fight, as Pain is dancing around the shark right there, and finally does get that elimination to come through. He did quite well for his team. They made that push, really brilliant one coming through from them.
Yeah, well, the brilliant work is not going to stop anytime soon, as we now have the participants from Overhaul, well, having to essentially overhaul their positioning. I'm not quite sure if Kalua is going to get res on through, but King is definitely going to try and attempt that res. Meanwhile, it's going to be Monse and my name is Jeff, trying to see if they could maybe pincer a bit of that Revive Me positioning here. You can see those health bars not looking too fantastic on the side here of Revive Me, but that could be exactly what they're looking for now, looking to capitalize and strike while the iron is hot.
Quite unfortunate one coming through right there for Psycho, as he's put down to the ground. Pain is left alone in this position to somehow keep the hopes for his team alive, as he does watch his teammate Psycho bleed out. But can Pain somehow find a way to get them out of this sticky situation that they do find themselves in? Obviously, they're being helped by several different teams who are rotating around, but that definitely is not stopping Jeff, as his teammate Monse continues to put in the work onto that position. But Pain somehow is still alive, and he's got that DBS in hand. That may just be the game changer for his team.
Well, as we know, as they say, for Revive Me, right? No pain, no gain. And so far, Pain is holding pretty steady. Let's see whether or not Monse is going to be able to trade it off. No! Wow, Pain just clutches it out. That is a DBS to the face. And with that, 4 eliminations in the bag.
DK, you know, I called it, that DBS. The DBS has been left, but definitely it's not stopping the players from going toe-to-toe with each other in that CQC moment. And you can see right there, he came through for Pain, as he definitely put the work and lived up to his name in that position.
Yeah, Pain getting a lot of gain in that one. But now, speaking about gains, still going to be looking for a bit of an opportunity over on towards the western side of zone. As you can see, squad's now just trying to lock it in, right? Easy, feeling a little bit of that pressure come through. Similar situation all the way over on towards that far eastern side, as Overhaul also don't exactly have the clearest way to move forward. FY, they've also pushed all the way through from that southern edge, sneaking their way into the western front. Now it is going to be potentially a very, very risky angle to try and hold. You can also add Fantasitos into that, as damage is just layered on, and that is FY securing their first 2 eliminations.
Oh my goodness, who needs popcorn when you got fight like this? It's fireworks every single moment, and we're now beginning to see the fights go toe-to-toe in every single position. Claude hasn't been able to get any knocks to come through, but I've been seeing so much action coming through from the region. I do think that they've had a lot of kills that have been stolen, so it doesn't tell the full story. I'm thinking that that man could have about 1,000 damage right now without any elimination to come through. Definitely will be sulking and thinking, why are my kills getting stolen over and over around the map? But there's so much action coming through, and several different teams are trying to get into that zone. You can see Sad that's taking advantage of that. He's got one elimination so far, but so many different teams are right in front of him, and he's trying as much as possible to make them pay for staying out so late.
Yeah, you know, the only thing sad about this is the name. That is it, right? There's quite a bit of aggression being shown here, and Chelsea team now still going to be looking to make their play. Maybe trying to bring that Rook into the aggression, as they've got several teams just splintered all around them. Force Tijuana also now making that mad dash, looking for a bit of an opening. They do find at least a successful position for the time being, but looking at them and the spot that they kind of look to pull towards, I mean, this is going to be some pretty tough ground to defend as the sprays continue to just rain on down from all areas. FY could find themselves also in a very sticky situation. Oh, look at this. Aizen just laser focus on the aggression.
Man, Aizen, guns blazing, no holding back. This is what we came for. We came to see this fight's coming through, and you can see, although his teammate is currently down, he's been putting in the work. His HP is low. He's got to make sure that he gets that for last moment. It's the boy Kenny who comes in with that elimination from the side. Really sneaky one coming in from Kenny, as he does get his first elimination to come through. But my goodness, a lot of teams that we were seeing getting into the action early on now being taken out of the game.
Yeah, and Split team, of course, now just splitting a few hairs there from the Lycans as they do just look to bring the confirmations through. But now comes the push, right? Now comes the really hard work as Sad finds a beautiful elimination out on the edge. Now that leaves So Milky to fend for themselves. Again, not the easiest spot to play from, but let's see whether or not, well, Milk can make anything happen. I assume the other player was Choco, because, you know, we've got Choco Milk, so that part makes sense. Ooh, but what doesn't make sense is the absolute carnage now coming through here from Evolution, just upping the ante and securing their second Elim.
Yeah, the ones from Evolution have been, you know, just sneaking into the fights. They've been within those buildings. They've not had to take a lot of risks. We saw Kenny just in the last moment getting that third party and getting into the fights, but now they're beginning to get into the open and take on those fights. And when they do that, they do lose one of their players. And it's now left to Bunny to somehow keep the hopes alive for them. But he's got several different players around him, and Jared will be the one putting in the work and taking out the boys from elimination from the game. And that's exactly what we've seen so far. With that being said, it does leave us with 5 teams left, with only 7 buddies in. It'll be curious to see who can seal this one through, as it does look like it's the boys Ocean and Sad currently left within the game with a full team.
Yeah, well, speaking about Sad, off goes Force Tijuana. We still have Pain holding on to that northern edge, but again, the zone shifts up into Limbo. And this is where everything is now going to come to the conclusion, right? We have only so much space available. We still have 6 players yet to make those final ditch efforts. But Split team looking to make the most out of the situation, occupying that western front. Over on towards that eastern line, it is going to be the Chassis team. So it seems like the strategies are at least working out for them. Ooh, but here we go. It is going to be Pain taken down, and no more revives on that end will be available. Oh, another amazing hit on towards Ocean. And again, right, that's now Sad on the one side, Milky on the opposite end, and they are going to be looking to contest the side of Split team. So not quite sure who's going to be the one to lock it in. Anything can still happen at this point with it being duos.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking about locking in, neither of these guys are given an inch in this one. None of them is battling down. They're trying as much as possible to see if they can get those knocks to come through. And speaking about knocks coming through, So Milky. That's a really, really interesting name, Choco Milky. But we'll talk about that later. But now, So Milky does have a lot of work to do in front of him. He's pretty much in the middle of 2 teams. I do believe that he might just be able to get one elimination to come through against Jared, and that may just open things up.
Oh yeah, but Jared already taking quite a bit of damage as Sad now starts strafing on forward, looking for the opportunity. RKZ also trying to hit it up with a buggy, but instead finds nothing but air. Quick reactions coming through. Vehicle explosion comes in. That is now Milky jumping into the action. Essentially, we are down to solos. It is Sad, Milky, and Jared showing us what they can bring on through. The zone shifting a little bit further down towards the south. That could be the confirmation about to get secured. Oh, but Sad now trying to just improve that positioning. Let's see if they can find a good lay of the land. Jared can hear the shots going off in both directions. Everyone essentially now coming to the conclusion that it is going to be the final fight, the final showdown. A good attempt though with the utility coming through from Jared, but still no clear line of sight.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a 1v1v1 situation coming through right now, and all odds and my money is on the boy's side. He has evaded getting taken out of this game when it looked like he was about to get knocked down. The cars flying left, right, center, but he's managed somehow to still stay alive. The boy So Milky has a line of sight that may just make things work for him, but still, I'm still going with Sad on this one because somehow, the man has been battling against all odds to remain in this game. It'll be curious to see how he does play this one and if he's able to stay alive long enough to get the my prediction.
You're saying something? You're saying something I can't hear? I can't hear?
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh
but
my
now it is down to Milky and Jared to face off for the chicken. Jared, of course, now getting a nice little bit of a supply drop there as well, right? Having the opportunity to upgrade their gear all the way to level 3. Not that it's going to matter all that much. As you can see, Milky is also primed and ready to roll. But who will be the one to secure the play? Milky doing their due diligence, ensuring that they've got the majority of these angles covered. Now, both players in a bit of a standoff here, right? Neither of them wants to be the next one to fall. Jared does sit with the higher elimination count though, so there could potentially be a little bit of hope on that side. But I like the Choco Milk name, right? It just sounds so cool with the So Milky being in there as well. But you know, it's a split decision that we have to make, seeing that we are waiting for the action to pop off. But essentially, it's all going to come down to this 9th stage, which we are about to hit. And then, well, Jared is going to be forced forward, right? They can't hide behind this box any longer. And I think it's going to come down to how much damage they are going to be willing to tank before making that final decisive play.
Yeah, definitely. Every single moment in this final battle right here between this two of them is, you know, definitely a dance between both of them. None of them wants to miss a step. They're not holding back. And you can see right now they're being really cautious. Every single peak, every single movement definitely will count to who finally does get that winner chicken dinner. It will be curious to see what mistakes or who's the player that actually does make the mistake and who does get that win. Maybe, just maybe, it might be the zone that does push Jared forward, and that might just provide some opportunity for So Milky to get that win. You can see him trying as much as possible to see if he can bait Milky to just pick right there and take him out. But let's see how this one goes, because So Milky right now, he's not taking that bait. He's trying as much as possible to...
I mean, at this point, right, we just need one bit of utility, right? A nade or a something, right? But both players, as we could see, they are down to only the weapons they are holding in their hands. Jared, though, with the AWAM, that could be quite a bit of a play, but Milky has got that M4 at the ready, so this is going to be quite a bit of a showdown. But the zone is going to pop anytime soon. And now it is go time as the closure will start. You can slowly see that blue zone just creeping its way on forward. We've got a few seconds left until this 9th stage starts to do its thing. So good old blue zone, the big bad blue zone, will be settling this match for us, regardless of what our players bring to the table. But now, Jared not going to be waiting around, instead trying to push on forward as the zone forces their hand. They have to get right down to business. Milky now tanking the blue. Ooh, this could be the play. Will Jared get it? Oh, no! It was in! Was that the final hit? I believe it was.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That zone, that circle, that final circle was definitely the MVP. It was mercilessly small. Tensions were at its full peak, and every second was a decider. And at the end of the day, it came down to that final shot.
Yeah, that's usually what it comes down to, right? Otherwise, we are going to be sitting here talking about the same match for quite some time. But yes, well played, though. I mean, a phenomenal finish coming through there from Jareed and Co. That is exactly the kind of play that we wanted to have. Split team, well, making that split-second decision, essentially rushing forward, securing themselves the victory. But a very exciting one in that as well. Choco Milk, oh, you got to appreciate it. A nice bit of a standoff, but then we saw Sad and Ocean just holding for the longest time, right? The Chessy team really playing what you could almost call a bit of a chess match here, because they were just able to get themselves into a good position, securing also quite a few eliminations. And I think at this stage, it's going to be interesting to see who's the team actually walking away with the most eliminations.
Yeah, absolutely. There were a lot of teams that were getting those eliminations coming through early on that got taken away. We saw also so many sneaky teams in that final circle. The boys from Cheesy just getting those sneaky eliminations in that final circle and moving themselves all the way into that final break of things. But it'll be curious to see how the boys from Lycans can bounce back. We did see them looking for those eliminations early on, trying to be aggressive. I did spot in the comment sections a little bit some fans of theirs, and we'll be curious to see how they can perform in the next games so far, as they did lose one of their members quite early on. I do feel like, DK, that they're an aggressive team. I mean, you don't call yourself Lycans for nothing. You obviously will be an aggressive team. So we'll see how they perform in the next game, Mirama.
Yeah, we'll definitely find out. But in the meanwhile, we are going to be moving upwards and onwards as we see our MVP. It is going to be Pain, right? As I said before, no pain, no gain. And here we go, 5 Elam steady, hitting up with 578 damage as well. I mean, a pretty proficient performance coming through from Pain. Psycho also did bring in a bit of a contribution here, but I think it's going to be a bit of a coin toss as to who our MVP is going to be, right? Our most valued team. As well, I can see the elimination count looking pretty close, but there we have it. It is going to be Sad and Goat to lock it in. That is where we have it. Sad, aka Ocean, right? Same name. Spelling is just a little bit different. That's all it is, right? It depends on the accent that you use. But yeah, that is then players coming through from the lovely Chessy team, doing exactly what they needed to be to secure themselves that MVT position. So, as we know, we also then need to see a bit at what the damage was, right? Because you were talking about it earlier, saying that, you know, you think that one team in particular hit round about 1,000 damage. I don't know if that's the case, but we are going to be finding out pretty soon once we look at our eliminations versus damage graph. But yeah, good run coming through for Chelsea. They need to push it a little bit further. In the meanwhile, let's take a look at the team versus team as we take our look. Ooh, it is going to be split team on the one side, from what we can see with the 6 eliminations. And the other one is Revive Me, right? So that is where we have them. Strong damage figures. Definitely coming through. But again, not a lot of wastage, right? The conversion rate holding pretty strong.
Yeah, definitely. We can see the teams, you know, just trying as much as possible to get themselves those eliminations to come through. That's a high amount of damage, especially when you're looking at the fact that we're in a dual lobby. So those teams are getting, you know, the kills to come through. But Cheesy team coming through right there with 1,000 damage, and we spoke about it earlier on that this obviously does not tell you the full story because there were so many kills that could have gone their way that were possibly, you know, stolen. As you can see, it's only 6 eliminations with that 1,000 damage that came through at the end.
Yeah, but still a decent amount of damage being dealt nonetheless. Revive Me also pretty close to that. I mean, FY also actually locking in more eliminations than damage that they were doing. So you gotta like it though. It is a strong rate nonetheless. But split team, also just splitting it right down the middle. But I guess at the end of the day, it's all going to come down to how these teams are going to be pushing through our remaining 2 matches. For the next one, we are going to be venturing up towards that lovely Miramar, so there will be a bit of an opportunity for those more long-range hits to find their way in, as well as a few surprises as well. But of course, now aside from our eliminations and damage, we are going to be taking a look at our leaderboard to see where the duos find themselves and have they been able to do enough. Split team holding on to pole position, coming through with 14 points. Chelsea team coming in with 11 there. Revive Me only 1 point away, that being the difference between second and third place.
Man, absolutely close calls for some of these teams. As you can see, things are still being really tight, all the way down to even that 6th position. It is still just 10 points between them. So I do believe a lot of these teams will be looking to see how they can bounce back in the next games to come. There's still a lot of points for them to accumulate so far. But my goodness, look at the amount of eliminations that the boys from Cheesy and Revive Me are currently sitting on. Definitely will be looking to see if they can perform a lot better and get those placement points in the next games to boost themselves up on that leaderboard.
Yep, at the end of the day, it's all going to come down to determination and focus, right? But yeah, 2 maps to play at. That is going to be what we have. As I've already mentioned, Miramar is going to be the next one to roll into to see exactly what our duos are going to be bringing before we head into the jungle for a little bit of that hot and spicy Sanhok action to make its way on through. As we take a look at the second page, it is going to be the players then from Overdami, secured up in 9th place with 2 points. Unfortunately, it is going to be Mont Gaming, Overhaul, the Old Gangsters, and the Lycans that will get sent back with nothing but air, right? A little bit of hot air to come through, but we want to see a bit of that conversion. Now, Mont Gaming Overall, the OGs, the Old Gangsters, and the Lycans will have the opportunity as we step into Miramar to showcase whether or not they'll be able to pick up the momentum and make that push for the top of the leaderboard, or maybe even just to lock in a few more points. Because again, looking at what we've seen so far, right? The Old Gangsters, they've shown that they are capable of securing themselves the winner chicken dinner. So it's quite surprising to see them get sent back with nothing.
Yeah, obviously in this game, they currently are trailing. They've not been able to get the eliminations. That definitely people will be looking, to see them do a lot better in the Miramar game and Sanhok. Obviously, we expect more from them and the boys from Lycans as well. I do think it's one of those things, you get into the game and you do get caught off guard and you do lose your players early on. We saw them right there in Pochinki. It was just a situation where they were backing off. They were trying as much as possible to be fully cautious, but it's just one of those things. And I do think they will probably do better in the next map.
Well, speaking about the next map, we are going to be hopping into a quick break, so be sure to stay tuned and we'll see you guys back in a short few moments. Don't go anywhere. What's up, guys? Welcome back. We are getting ready to hop right down onto the beach. Well, not exactly the beach, right? We're getting ready for a little bit of that Miramar action. We are going to be heading to the desert to see what our duos are going to be bringing on through. So far, already things looking quite exciting. A split team were able to step up, securing themselves that glorious finish. But, I mean, I want to see what Chessy team are going to be doing, right? Because they really doubled down with the aggression as we saw coming through with those 6 eliminations. Revive Me also then finishing on 6. So I'm looking for momentum. I want to see if that is going to carry forward. But, of course, there also are teams that weren't able to find themselves a few points, right? Miramar is going to be the opportunity before we get right down to the serious business, which I think is going to be Sanhok, because it's a map that really lends itself to a lot of those aggressive plays. But now, Tony, moving in towards Miramar, what would you say is going to be the outcome of this one? Are we going to be seeing any potential hot drops come through, or do you think the duos are going to take things a little bit differently and maybe play the space a bit more?
I think we're going to see some Ellis chemistries come through from these teams. They're possibly going to land close to each other and, you know, get those eliminations to come through. Then things are probably going to go quiet for a little bit, and then teams are going to start to try to rotate into that zone and be a little bit cheesy, get those knocks and eliminations coming through from a distance. Maybe some teams will take those high grounds and, you know, just take out the duos who are trying to make those rotations quite late. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. We're going to see slow moments, but it's going to be worth it at the end of the day.
Well, it is always worth it at the end of the day. But as we know, let's take a look at our match list, right? But before we do that, it's going to be codes, right? Codes right over there. Be sure to grab them. Be sure to hit them up. Get those redeems going so you can get your hand on that lovely, lovely UC. That is just the one of a few more to come. So we'll, of course, try and announce them during the match as we go along. But if you see them there, you know what to do, right? Have your redemption page ready. And, well, best of luck to everyone. But yes, of course, now, as we know, it is going to be the opportunity for us to see what the desert is going to bring us. We have that being our map up next. But, I mean, I think this is a good preparation, right? A little bit of bread and butter coming through. And a little bit of that Miramar before, all this really plays. Now, based on the teams that we saw just on Erangel now, who do you think, who would be your prediction, right? Just the most random prediction that you can think of here, Tony. Who would you say is going to be the team to take it on Miramar?
Lycans. I'm definitely going to go with the boys from Lycans. I saw some nice, you know, rotations coming through from them. They did get caught off guard by teams who were already situated quite comfortably in that zone, but I do think that they're a team that wants to be a lot aggressive. They do have some fans in the lobbies, so obviously that definitely does mean that they have some good gameplay in them, and I do believe that they're going to come out stunning in this one, definitely because they weren't able to get themselves any points in the Erangel game.
Well, it is going to be go time pretty soon for Miramar. I think maybe something a little bit either to the north or to the south with regards to the flight path and a potential zone. I think could add quite a bit of excitement here as we are getting ready to push on through. Ooh, all right, so we are starting over on towards the eastern side, as we can see Impala just up ahead of us. And looking at the trajectory, we could be just kind of sticking to the southern edge. As I think if we were heading maybe a little bit more to the center, I think Picardo would have been a little bit closer. So this is going to allow quite a few interesting opportunities for the duos, as we got the Puerto Pareso over towards the edge there, Los Leones. We also then have, of course, Valle del Mar, Minas del Valle, all these positions that the players can get themselves positioned in. But I think we could be seeing quite a bit of a play, maybe moving up into Los Leones.
Yeah, definitely. I do think we're also going to have some teams going all the way towards that region around Picado. Be curious to see how they do from through. But we can already see the boys from Lycans deciding to go all the way towards that southern side of things. And Luxury and their teammate, even Aizen, we saw them in that final circuit in the last game, try as much as possible to get those eliminations to come through. Be curious to see where they do find themselves at the end of the day. But it's a very, very southern zone right here, DK, and I do think that that's going to lead to a lot of aggression.
Yep, that is what we want to see. So this could be an interesting one. I think this is also a good prep for Sanhok itself. Looking at the available terrain that we have, especially within this particular region, Chumacera, is where things could really start to pop off. We can see Aizen and Glot already getting into a bit of a position there. Maybe they know something as to how to push through this. And they, of course, sharing the space. They have the players then from the side of Overhaul right there alongside them. Overhaul, I think, also one of those teams that could maybe, you know, smile at a few additional points coming their way. But it's all going to come down to how they handle these next few moments.
Yeah, definitely. Miramar Terrans are usually really rugged, but definitely the vast plains of Miramar, usually every single shadow could be an enemy just lurking in the corner. So teams have got to be really, really careful on how they make their rotations. But speaking about teams right here, we do have the boys on OG. We spoke about them quite early on. They know that there's a team not too far away from them, and they're definitely trying as much as possible to see if they can prepare in for that fight. You can see that Mini 14 coming through with Katri and old guards. I saw them, you know, in that Erangel game. I was expecting a lot more from them quite early on, but they didn't manage to get themselves those points. I'm hoping to see a lot more from them in this game.
Well, let's find out exactly how this is gonna unfold. As I mean, it's not necessarily the sweatiest play that we are going to be seeing just yet. I mean, even looking at the map, things unfortunately on Miramar are much further away than they appear, right? Because from on high, things are very, very close. But as we get down to business, well, we could see a few of those plays now coming through. Up comes Aizen, looking for a bit of an opportunity onto King. Just doing their sound assessment. The quick 1-2, 1-2. Again, showing that trigger discipline, not necessarily going to be reacting too quickly or too impulsively to hearing the sound cues. And the same thing, I think, is going to come through here for the old gangsters. Again, looking at what we have from the side of, well, the Chessie team. Again, not all too close. But what is close is going to be that code now appearing on screen. That is yet another one dropping in hot. So be sure to jump in and get that claimed. And, of course, you're going to be smiling with a beautiful bit of UC being rewarded there. Of course, if you claim the UC, let us know in the chat, right? Whether you got it. It's good to see these things come through. But now, with the blue zone closing in, I wonder at which point the old gangsters are going to look to get themselves out of here and situated into the zone, Tony.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the thing about Miramar is that its calm is very deceptive. You know, beneath this this terrain is you know, definitely all the teams are just strategizing and waiting for that moment where they will strike. And all of these teams know that the calm that they're experiencing for now is definitely fleeting. So they will be looking to see if they can get themselves into that zone quite early. And teams like Cheesy, who are currently in that blue zone, definitely need to start making those rotations. I'm not sure why he was running towards a wall, but that's one of the things about PUBG, you know, when it comes to spectating, you know, it's just funny sometimes.
I mean, sometimes you got to go for the wall, sometimes you got to go for it all. It can definitely go in many different shapes, shades, and forms. In the meanwhile, things are just continuing on up into Chumacera. Of course, the Blues are now getting hold of the old G's as the sprays come through. Ooh, Sad taking quite a bit of damage. Katri coming really close to getting that confirmation, or at least the knockdown played. And this is going to be go time, as we saw Sad performing quite well in the previous match, locking in those 3 eliminations. Pressure's going to be on, though. But eventually, the old gangsters are either going to be falling to the blue, or they're going to make the wise call and rotate out of there.
Yeah, definitely. Tensions are beginning to rise right here in the heart of Miramar as the zones beginning to converge and battles are beginning to ensue right here. You can already see the teams are getting quite closer and closer towards each other. Grease God obviously will be looking to see if they can get themselves into quite a good position in that zone. I'm not sure what the game plan is for Cheesy right here, DK, as they're currently situated right there within that blue zone. Is their game plan to just continue to edge things out, take things slow, get into the zone quite late? Maybe, just maybe, that might be a plan for them. It might work out. We're seeing a couple of teams doing that right now. The boys from OG are currently in that blue as well, and I'm not sure what exactly the plan is for a lot of these teams. Maybe they're currently stuck right here because the boys from Cheesy are currently on their tails, or maybe they're just deciding to rotate into that zone quite late.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to answer the question there. all we can do at this point is just wait to see exactly what that play will be. Meanwhile, it's going to be My Name is Jeff holding on to that southwestern side. A teammate, Monse, also just in the wing. But again, I'm not quite sure if we are looking at a bit of blue zone surfing coming in here, or just ensuring that they've got enough of that loot happening at this moment. Of course, another team that I'm curious to see what their performance will be is going to be the players from Choco Mill, currently held all the way to that far southern side. But the old gangsters up north, though, things are starting to look a little bit grim. But fortunately, we can see that vehicle coming in here from Daku. Now, is there going to be the option for them to make it into zone safely?
Yeah, obviously, now they're beginning to make those rotations into that zone. We can see the boys from the old gangsters leaving that position, where they were in a leader skirmish with the boys from Cheesy, not getting any damage to themselves as they are still maintaining their two-man squad and the two-man duo in this one, as they are now beginning to make those rotations into that zone. Be curious to see what their game plan is, if they're going to currently just edge things out. It does look like that is the game plan for them. They're currently just playing things right there on the edge, not moving into that center circle, but the boys from Cheesy might have a different plan. Definitely, if you're calling yourself a Grease God, you'll obviously be looking for those kills to come through, and that's exactly what they're doing right here. They're waiting for those full-blown fights to come through as the zone continues to converge. We'll be seeing actions ensue at several different moments, but for now, Miramar is playing its usual deception, where things just remain calm, and if you snooze, you might just lose.
Well, that's definitely not what you want to play for, right? You want to ensure that you've got enough energy so there's no snoozing. That could potentially be coming in. But yeah, again, right, we are going to be looking at the zone, essentially forcing the hand here at some point. I don't think we've had any players drop just yet. We still have everyone up on their feet, having the opportunity to get themselves situated and positioned. But now, moving into this next phase, this is where we are going to be having quite a bit more of that limitation and constriction coming through, as the teams will have to make the play. That is the only way that you are going to be able to get that winner chicken dinner. Aerodynamics also now really have to head a little bit of a slipstream there to get themselves securely up in towards the zone. I mean, again, right, if you forget about the blue, it is going to devour you alive. FY finding themselves at a similar kind of spot over towards that northwestern edge. But the old gangsters, I mean, it's safe to say that they are securely within the zone as the blue is going to start to close.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking about the blue zone, as it pushes closer and closer, we can feel the pressure mounting between these teams. Obviously, skirmishes and fights are inevitable, when the boys from old gangsters are currently just deciding to continue to play this one quite careful for now, as we do see that zone moving towards a central position just south of Picado. And all of these teams will have definitely some spots to call their own, but we might see some crashes coming through, as I do see Aizen right next to what is some ops in front of him. So it'd be curious to see how those battles continue to ensue. All the way in that southeastern region, there are a couple of teams who are inching quite closer towards each other. The boys from Lycan, we spoke about them before this game started as well, might get themselves into a bit of a battle, because I can see that trajectory coming through from So Milky and his teammates. It does look like they might be heading towards the same direction.
Yeah, and that could result in a little bit of chaos, a little bit of carnage, but that is exactly why we are here, as we do have a rather congested northern side of zone, as you've already pointed out. But I'm looking over towards the far western side. I mean, Lycans, they seem fine, at least for the time being. But if we look a little bit further upwards and onwards, right, Mont Gaming and then the side of FY are going to be trying to get themselves a little bit closer. I think Mont could potentially be looking for a bit of a gatekeep, maybe looking to leverage their position over onto that of FY. But in the meanwhile, Split Gaming, our winner chicken dinner takers from the previous match, now trying to find a bit of an opportunity here onto Force Tijuana.
Oh, the battle beginning to ensue between Split Gaming right there, and you can see that he's taking on them shots, but he's not able to connect any one of them through. He might just be looking for another angle, and his teammate Jared may have better luck than him in getting one of those players to be dropped down to the ground as he is making those rotations to come through. But we can see Freeman's just backing off away from that fight, getting into those buildings. His teammate being able to, just cover for him a little bit, and so far they've not been able to do any damage. It does look like the boys might just be escaping and moving away from that fight. But speaking about fights, we do see on the kill feed right there as Killua takes down one of the players from Milk. I think it was Choco Milk. Yeah, Choco Milk.
Well, it might have been. We will, of course, see pretty soon exactly what the outcome of that is. I think it is Choco, because Milky is still up, right? So whoever else Milky plays with, that is by default then Choco, because we got a bit of Choco Milk coming through. The rest could be pretty close to this play. Now, it is going to be pressure time as Force Tijuana need to hold steady, split up on the ridge. But I think a bit of a saving play could be coming through on the southern edge, as we do have the aerodynamics on the approach, pushing up that hillside, looking to maybe play a bit of an upset. And I mean, I think that is maybe an unintentional upset coming through.
Ooh, speaking of upsets, this angle being held by the Boston Split team might prove to be really decisive for them, as they are currently putting in the work onto the boys from Tijuana. But Tijuana on the other end is currently getting those eliminations to come true, as Yuzuke does get sent back into the lobby. They do get those eliminations and confirmations to come through. But on that kill feed, I've been seeing Aizen DK. I've been seeing Aizen just popping off. It does look like he is having a feast as he is taking and dropping so many bodies so far.
Well, I mean, are we going to have even more bodies dropping? We don't know just yet, but we are going to be looking for that tally. Again, a very difficult position to play through, but I like the fact that Clot and their teammate already has been able to secure themselves a few of those elims, and maybe you could say it was with a bit of ease, right? I don't know if that is enough of a fun, but either which way, the Zoran is going to be forcing the hand as our duos continue to take the plunge, looking to push on forward, already reduced by 3 teams. That's the final 12. Will now show us what they can bring to the battlefield. A bit of a reach here from Aizen. Does try to lock in the spray, but Force Tijuana now just hugging the edge of the train up because the push though. Ooh, will Split Team be able to get this one done, as it is now Choco and Milk getting right down to business. Jareed having to slightly rethink that initial push.
Oh man, absolutely amazing stuff coming through right there for the boys from Choco Makers. They do get into the fights right here with Jared and his teammate, looking for those knocks to come through, but they really do need to be careful because the boys from FG are also coming through with those third parties. But look at that nade coming through right there from Choco, as he does drop down one of the ups and is going through for that confirmation. Jared hops into his vehicle and is trying as much as possible to get out of that situation. But remember, there's a third party that's brewing, as the boy 66K, who is taking on those shots right there onto Jared, but unfortunately is not able to connect them.
Yeah, Zach though is going to be looking to close it up. We do say goodbye to Evolution, as they will unfortunately meet their end. Meanwhile, it is going to be Jareed now managing to find a little bit of that hard cover to get themselves properly patched up. But again, a very limiting position to be in, as the moment they start to push forward, or essentially anywhere out of that hard cover, sprays are going to be finding their way on in. FY could also be feeling a little bit of that, as they are just dipping their toes into the zone. Ooh, good coverage coming through there from Yogi's in. But now Jesse team, again, finding themselves in a bit of a situation here. Unfortunately, we don't see exactly 6 eliminations up just yet, but 1 is definitely better than none.
Ooh, you can see the Grease God definitely living up to his name, as he does get that one knock to come through. He's turning the sights onto the next player, looking to see if he can get the next knock and elimination to come through. Now he does have the support of his teammates and goes in for the juggler, but he will be dropped, but his teammate comes in right there with the final clutch to come through and saves him.
Yeah, Fantasitos though with a rather unfortunate end, but it is what it is at the end of the day. Jareed now feeling a little bit emboldened out in the open. Not quite sure what the play is. He has the zone is shifted up to the north. So Jareed has to cross that road to get themselves back into safety yet again. Meanwhile, Ease I'm feeling a little bit worried here because they have quite a bit of ground to cover. That zone is quite far away. That could be exactly what a team like FY needs now to secure themselves a few potential eliminations. Also, Force Tijuana trying to decide what the play will be. As you can see, they're now just looking to mend up those health bars before making that decisive play. But best of luck because the zone already has quite a few occupants.
The only thing about the accent, DK, is just now when you said Tijuana, it made sense to me. But I've been saying Tijuana since. My goodness. Well, it's just one of those things. All right. So, but speaking about things right here, Jared might just be the Trojan horse in this fight between these two teams as they're going toe-to-toe against each other. It does look like Aizen is making those rotations actually away from that position. So it's now leaving Jared to face on these two guys. Cremas and his teammates are currently aware of his position as they're looking to see if they can get that knock to come through. But the blue zone is also coming in clutch right here. So Jared obviously is in a lot of trouble right here. It's in quite a sticky situation as that blue zone is doing quite some damage. DK, it does look like it might be mutual destruction on both ends, but we'll see how it goes.
Ooh, yeah, and of course sipping on too much of that blue juice is not good for you, and that is what Jared is going to be experiencing first. And the same can be said here for the last bit of Force Tijuana. Oh, Jared though with a beautiful play.
Destruction.
Yes, sir, and down they go. 8 teams now remain. Split team, unfortunately, not going to be able to get a back-to-back winner chicken dinner. Meanwhile, he's now trying to find a bit of an approach, a bit of an angle to play at. We do have that Mont Gaming defensive position just alongside them. So, I mean, Ease are definitely going to be put to the test here.
Yeah, obviously. Speaking about being put to the test, you can see on the other end, the boy, I'm not sure how to pronounce that name, DK. I don't want to mess it up, but I'm going to give it a try. It is Hazio. Hazio is holding that nade. He's held it for too long, and I'm quite worried that that's going to blow up in his face. But in the meantime, our boy Aizen, who's been in on the action for quite a while, is now holding that DBS. He hops into his car. I'm not really sure why. But then he's looking to see if he can take out those teams. But there's also Lycans, the boys from Lycans. We spoke about them quite early on. They're still in the game. But wait, Aizen has only 1 kill. We initially saw him getting knocks upon knocks, and just wondering how he has only 1.
I mean, it's maybe just the the luck of the draw. But speaking about the luck of the draw, Mont Gaming stepping in to finish it off. Now Glot, oh, the hit about to land, and there we go. Mont Gaming will reign supreme as they now have to make the mad rush to get themselves secured. Meanwhile, it's going to be Jesse team trying to play a bit of a tough position here. We got FY knocking on the door. The team's now starting to drop like flies. That blue zone doing its thing. It does seem like Sad is going to be looking for that continuation, that follow-through. They want to get the jump, and with that, potentially send FY backing. But surprisingly enough, though, Sad doesn't necessarily have the reinforcements. They have their teammates on their back end, but not exactly where we need to see those barrels being pointed. It is going to be the push. Slav is now going to knock on the door, and that is Sad just slamming the coffin shut, hitting in the final few nails.
Man, Grease God and Sad have been peeking apart this lobby. They've been taking on every single team around them, and you can see them so far with the evidence right there with those 8 eliminations. They're not going in for that last team. It is Psycho and Pain. Also, we saw him in the last game getting into the action right there. But will that be enough to take out the Grease God, the man who has been getting himself those eliminations to come through? He's going to sit down with 6 of those eliminations as he does drop another player. Actually, it is his teammate Sad who now does get into the action. But that second nade bounces right in front of Pain, but it's not able to do any damage. But Pain has got to put up a great performance right here if he will look to take out Sad. But at the end of the day, it is boy Sad who does get that winner chicken dinner for the boys from Cheesy.
Yeah, I mean, Chesley really getting the checkmate in on that one. Walking away with a glorious amount of eliminations, securing himself double digits. Now that is very impressive to see it happen right here in duos. But big congratulations out to Grisgod, and of course going out to Sad. I mean, that is insane. So you got to commend the effort. I mean, they tried really hard in the first match, came so close to succeeding. This time around, they just really honed in, right? Focused the effort, and with that, well, they got the chicken, Tony. They got that chicken under lockdown.
Yeah, absolutely. The first game, Sad was, he made me lose some money because I did bet on him, and finally, right there, live on the game, I lost all my money. Now I have to live in the streets. But anyways, regardless, he was able to get that winner with a chicken dinner in the second game, and he really stepped things up and left Grisgod just lazing about, just doing his thing, because when you have a player like Sad, you don't need to do much. He can take care of things.
Yeah, you don't even have to be sad, right? Because Sad is sad, so that's fine. But of course, in the meanwhile, let's take a look at our code that is going to be coming in. Just flapping its way on through, so be sure to get your fingers on that, right? It is up. There's the goat. There's the goat. Get it all redeemed before it washes away in the waves. Ruin all the fun. But I mean, aside from the performance that we had come through now from Chelsea, right? Also, split team, they tried. You could see that effort being brought in. They really tried to see if they could maybe just inch their way a little bit closer to pulling it off, but unfortunately that wasn't exactly on the cards. I think seeing a beautiful back-to-back play could have been quite exciting, but what is also quite exciting is then taking a look at our MVP to see who is the star of this match.
Ooh, definitely is the boy Grisgod. Right from the beginning to the end of the game, he was picking apart several different teams, and it obviously deserves it. But look at those damage numbers. It obviously means that he was farming and probably stealing some kills. But regardless, a massive gameplay for him and his teammates.
Yeah, if you got it, you got it, right? Finding 6 eliminations with, as you've said, such a low damage count. I mean, that is quite impressive to have. But I think what's also going to be quite impressive is to see who our MVP is, right? I've got a pretty good idea as to who it will be. But of course, well, here we go. It is no surprise. It is then still Grisgod and Sad just looking to close that one off. So Chelsea team getting a full circle play, coming very close to the first match and succeeding all the way through to the end in this one. I mean, I think we have our answer here as to where all the damage went, right? Sad was the one doing all the spraying, and then Grisgod just came in to clean up, securing those final few hits. So a very strong performance on their end. Mad respect going to them. So I'm quite excited to have them on the lovely Sanhok, because that map is going to lend itself to them, and it's also a very impressive one to look at here. So 1,041 damage coming through for Chelsea. Team E is also coming through with 1,018, but unfortunately only managing to find those 4 eliminations. I mean, it's unfortunate, but again, right, it is what it is at the end of the day.
Definitely, some of those eliminations could have gone to the Grisgod himself. He probably was coming in, sneaking in from behind and getting those confirmations. But regardless, great performance from all these teams. We're now beginning to see, things shape up. I'll be curious to see what the leaderboard is saying. But man, my goodness, I was expecting to see, the boys from Lycans do a lot better in this one. But I guess it's just one of those things.
Yes, sir, it is indeed just one of those things. Let's take a look at the leaderboards to see exactly what the point situation is, where the teams find themselves. That is the Chelsea team with that lovely play on 31 points, 16 eliminations to their name. Split, of course, now getting, moved down a little bit further as we see them up in the 3rd place with only 16 teams up. Revive Me, I like that follow through from their end as well. I mean, Pain, Psycho really locking in on target, walking away with a glorious total of 17 points going to them. Choco Milk, I mean, you got to appreciate not only the name, but the effort that they've been bringing through. Good consistency with regards to those placement points, and I think 10 points is not a bad spot to be in. As we know also then, only the top 6, that's where the prize money is going to be, right? Getting that share of the prize pool. So if you can lock it in, well done to you. But looking at Mont Gaming, Force to 1-up, there is a chance moving through the last match, which of course is Sanhok, to maybe bring in that upset, because I mean, he's not that far ahead.
Yeah, definitely. I do think that Sanok is definitely going to, switch things up a little bit. We saw Lycans do a bit better in this one as they did get themselves 5 points. They only got one elimination. And even the boys from Old Gangsters weren't able to show anything in this lobby. It'll be curious to see if maybe Sandhawk is that game that does switch things up for them. If I was in their shoes, DK, if I were them right now, I would be going to boot camp. I'll be landing right there. I'll be going to Paradise to try to see if we can get those early eliminations. I mean, if you lose, you lose. You don't get any points. But if you do win those fights, you're able to continue to rack up those kill points quite early on. I hope they hear me and probably can take those decisions. Yeah.
Well, I mean, on that one, you're talking about the Lycans, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Lycans.
Okay, so but now, okay, so now I've got a question because you said if you were there in their shoes, right? So if I'm not mistaken, Lycans don't wear shoes. Their
They
feet's
do
too big.
just before they change.
Yeah, but
Just
what's the
before they
point? You're gonna
change.
rip those lovely shoes apart. So yeah. But I get what you were trying to say. Of course, I'm just pulling your leg. I gotta pull it because I saw the opportunity. Gotta take it with both hands and just get down to business. But meanwhile, that is match 2 now concluded. So we've already passed our halfway mark of the day. One more left to go. That is gonna be down to the jungle, right? And maybe we could have the Lycans step it up. Who knows? There's only one way to find out. Join us back after the break. See you guys in a short few moments. What's up, everyone? Welcome back. We're getting ready to hop into our final match of the day. We are going to be heading into none other than Sanhok to go get a little bit sweaty, right? To see what our duos are going to be bringing to this battlefield. Of course, the race is still on for the top of the leaderboard. We could still maybe see quite a bit of a change up coming through. But, you know, looking at what we've had so far from the Chessie team, I think they are going to be the team to chase this time around. So if I was Chessie, you know, I'd maybe look to find myself fortified behind a castle or something, because I think the moment the lobby finds you, that could spell quite a bit of disaster. But again, it's all going to come down to how these teams are going to be able to cope with all the pressure with all the pressure that is going to be coming through and heading their way. In the meanwhile, Tony, I mean, what do you expect to see as we are going to be hopping in for a lot of that CQB, right? The close quarter battles.
I definitely think that the boys from Cheesy, like you did mention, are the ones to, you know, definitely beat and you know, take on in this game. So for me, I would think that several different teams like Lycans, like the old gangster, like the OGs, will be looking to get themselves in those positions, trying as much as possible to take them out. Get them gunned out of the game early on and get those points to come through. So for me, if I was in the game, that's what I'll be doing right now. I have nothing to lose. I haven't gotten much points anyway, so I would rather go for the big boys early on.
I mean, you might as well risk it for the biscuit, right? I mean, at least you could either have success, like you said, right? You got nothing to lose this point, so it could either work or it could not. I mean, I guess you should be fine either which way. But looking at the potential shifting that we could have here, I mean, the top of the leaderboard sitting on 31 points. You know, closing it off at 8th place with 5, so that is 16-point difference. Is that achievable in a match? It is. Maybe not in duos, but it definitely is achievable. So I think Chessie team might have a little bit of a something going here, but of course it's all going to come down to how the rest of the teams are going to be looking to step it up, and maybe it could be a bit of an upset, right? Revive Me, they're only trailing by about 14 points, and that is very much achievable.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see, you know, what that does mean for these teams. Speaking about teams right here, they are all gearing in the Sanhok game to get into the game so far. I'll be curious to see what that flight pod does and see who, as the boys will be looking to get themselves into their favorite spots. But speaking about favorite spots, DK, are we going to be seeing teams landing all the way in that Paradise and Bootcamp region? Those are the teams definitely to look forward to, as we see the boys from OG already in that flight path. And we spoke about this, OG and Lycan, it does look like they're heading towards Bootcamp.
Yeah, ooh, nice shift though with the zone, taking us down to that southern edge. So I don't think Paradise Tony is going to be receiving all that much love. It might, especially looking at Aizen, and of course a little bit of a hot drop coming through there from the side of Split team. But it does seem like Split are instead going to be pushing all the way up towards Cal, so they'll be safe. But I think positions like Painan, Camp Charlie, that is where we could potentially be seeing quite a bit of that heat now find its way on through. Of course, for the viewers, right, if you want to get yourself registered, be sure to head onto the Discord server, as there will be a bit of an opportunity. You can see those messages dropping in the chat as well. To remind you, next week is going to be duo squads. Right, I almost got this week and next week confused. But yes, next week is definitely going to be squad. So if you want to be featured, you know what to do. Get your butts in, get yourself registered. In the meanwhile, we'll wait for the carnage, the chaos, the mayhem to unfold as a Psycho Bunny finds Psycho. And, you know, the two different spellings of Psycho now just finding each other out on the battlefield. Gotta love it, Tony.
Man, absolutely amazing stuff coming in from Bunny right there. Like you just said, I love the way his name was spelled. I didn't spot that one. But Psycho Bunny, that's a really interesting name. Probably for a disturbed person. It's a Psycho Bunny. But anyways, we'll talk about that later. But interesting one coming through right there as we do get our first elimination of the game from the boys from Evolution. But now we turn our sights onto Mont Gaming, who is getting quite close to Cheesy. Cheesy has been outstanding so far. They are currently sitting down on top of that leaderboard, and we'll be looking to see if they can continue on with that performance. And you can see Sad, he's already sniffing around. He's definitely spotted the ops. He has seen them so far, and is just waiting for that opportunity to see if he can take down at least one of the players.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say though, the helmet that Monse just put on, that must be one heck of a powerful helmet. Because did you see that hair, Tony? I mean, it went from hair to this, but now unfortunately, we're not going to be seeing any Super Saiyan plays come through as Monse is done. The shots are in. Choco Milk looking to apply that lovely, lovely pressure. No straws even included in this situation as they just push on in. Now it's going to be up to my name is Jeff having to try and defend their honor. Looking to see if they can find the points. I'm trying to do the most horrible impersonation of that. So, Jeff, if it's wrong, you know, I'm sorry, but we're trying. We're trying. So, Mont Gaming being put on quite a bit of a back foot on this one.
You know this name, Choco Milk, it does bring me some, should I say, memories, childhood memories. Because every time I see that, I'm trying, my brain just goes into a particular milk brand when I was younger, and it was called Choco Milk. It was called Choco Milk. So I'm just like, just thinking to myself, hey guys, is that coming from there? Is that from a brand, or it's just a coincidence? Because I mean, anyways, it is what it is. But let's continue to look at this game. The boys from Cheesy. I mean, do you think they could have a bad performance and still somehow be on top of that leaderboard at the end of the game?
Uchesi, I mean, like I mentioned before, right? It's a 14-point lead, and at least for the time being, Revive Me is still alive. So they are making their way on through. They have been reduced down to 1, so I'm not quite sure, what the odds for Pain will be, as Pain is slowly approaching that center zone. Fortunately for Pain, it's an uncontested center, so it's not going to be too crazy. But I think Choco Milk, they could be onto something, right? Maybe looking to create a false sense of comfort for the opposing teams, right? Because whenever you have Choco Milk, you always have those nice feelings that accompany it, right? And I mean, they are doing exactly the opposite. They are looking to milk the lobby out of those eliminations, and they could still maybe get a little bit of something happening here. I mean, coming into this match with 10 points, there's a 21-point gap, so they are going to need everything that they can find if they are looking to play for first, but they definitely can still play, I think, for potential guaranteed second place. It is all going to come down to how they play out these next few moments.
Yeah, it will definitely depend on, what Cheesy does do in this game. The boys from Cheesy usually are very careful, but Old Gods stepping into the rain of bullets right there as they do get dropped down to the ground, and the Darku has finally gotten sent back into the lobby. They've been in this skirmish with Azin throughout today's games. I do believe that they got taken out by them too in that first game in Erangel. And you can see right there, Azin looking to see if he can find the last player for the boys from Old Gangsters, and they might just be finishing this game without getting any points of the day. Definitely things not going quite as they may have planned, but will Katri find a way to step things up in this particular position? You can see he's got a really tough one right there in front of him as Azin is currently approaching this position.
Well, it's going to be go time, as we'll find out pretty soon what the outcome will be. And there we have it. Glot now locking it in. That is their second elimination secured as the Old Gangsters get sent on their merry way all the way back to Lobbyland. In the meanwhile, Choco Milk, well, just surfing the greenery here. They are going to be looking for a bit of a play, maybe heading in the direction there of Sami. A very wide rotation coming through from them. Meanwhile, we do see Psycho Bunny and Kenny over on the left-hand side as they just popped off screen. But maybe could have a bit of a play as they are looking down towards that southern edge. Right, we got Hazio, as you said. We don't know if that is the right pronunciation, but let's hope it is. Meanwhile, the Lycans going to be holding on to the far western side. We got Force Tijuana just up ahead. Lycans now starting to rotate forward. But the zone has shifted all the way towards that quarry region. So that is going to be quite the rangy rotation that now needs to come through.
Yeah, absolutely. The boys from Lycan are now beginning to feel the heat right there. As Moon is currently in a vehicle that's smoking. He's got several different teams in front of him, and it is quite fortunate on his side that he's managed somehow to escape those shots that are coming through. He almost got blown up in that particular moment, but somehow is able to get out of dodge right there. With Mog right there in front of him, it'll be curious to see if they can still somehow hang on to this game. They haven't gotten any eliminations so far, but now turning onto Aisin is able to drop Jared down to the ground. A quite bold move coming in from Jared right there, TK.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit of crash and go, but either which way, Ease now making it look quite effortless as they've essentially reduced the side of Split Team down to 1. Now, not quite sure what their odds of survivability will be, but Morg now going to be trying to stay out of that as the Sprays find their way on through, looking for that positioning, looking to see if they can just secure the angles. Moon also yet to rotate up. So the Lycans with a very spread out play. Of course, the top of the hill is going to be even more contestation as you got Evolution Gaming. But again, Trigger Discipline, let's go for that, right? Let's say that is exactly what we saw just then.
Ooh, amazing stuff so far as Mog does get dropped down to the ground, and that will be the end for the boys from Lycans as they will get sent back into the lobby by the boys from Choco Milk, who have been putting in quite some work in this particular game as they do get themselves those 2 eliminations. They're currently still in that blue zone, looking to see if they can make those rotations, but Choco is the man. He has, but wait, you know what I just realized, TK? His name is, oh my god, this is quite...
Yeah,
okay,
guys, bear with me.
I see it. I just saw it.
Tony is figuring it out as we go.
I just
so we got
saw it.
Choco and Milk to make
Milky.
Choco Milk
Okay.
the team.
Okay,
But you know
I
what it
just
is,
got
what
it.
it is, right?
I
At
just
least
got
you
it.
got it,
Yeah.
Tony. At least you got it. Welcome to the club. In the meanwhile, we'll see what Psycho Bunny and Kenny have in store for us as they are going to come rotating up. Speaking about rotating up comes that chicken. So be sure to pause the stream real quick fast, get the code, get it redeemed, and off you go. Unfortunately, we do say goodbye to not only the chicken, but Mont Gaming and my name is Jeff. But let's see where this play will go now as Choco Milk are going to be looking to push all the way through, quite a bit of distance to cover. And they could run into maybe a bit of an obstruction, aside from the trees they're heading on their way.
Absolutely, they're quite in some dangerous times right here, but I do believe they'll still make it into that zone. They've got to be really careful. There are a couple of teams already situated quite comfortably in there. The boys from Tijuana, I did have some problem pronouncing that first of all, as I kept saying Tijuana. That does show you that I'm not a fan of that word that sounds like it, that starts with M or Ma. That just shows you.
Yeah. Mary Jane.
You know.
That's what you tried to say. You tried to say Mary Jane, but there's no Mary Jane here. I mean, you might be inspired by the luscious grasseries and such right there on the map of Sanhok, but you know what it is. Meanwhile, Split Team. Oh, well, yeah, off they go. Good luck as Ease now claims yet another victim. In the meanwhile, they have center zone, so that's going to be a very comfortable position to play from. Of course, Tijuana now trying to pick themselves back up. Not quite sure whether or not we are going to have Cremas being able to be brought back on their feet. Meanwhile, Psycho Bunny also gets found. And it is now the end of Revive Me as well. I mean, players just coming to the end all over the place. But here we go, right? It is going to be over Dammy now, Tony. Looking for a bit of a position also in center zone.
Yeah, absolutely. Buddies dropping everywhere. Just in that particular moment where he looked like he was going to get that revive to come through, the boy Yogi Zin does put in the work. It looked like he was just waiting for that moment. He saw that player from a distance and he knew he was going to get that knock, but he was being, still giving him hope. Like, you know what? Just keep doing your thing. Keep doing your thing. Get into that position. Think you survive, but you're not. Gotcha.
If you got it, you got it, right? So if you can shot gotcha while doing it all at the same time, might as well just look to bank it in. Now it's going to be Yogizin trying to pop a few tires. Ooh, there we go. The bait is there. Meanwhile, the rest of FY, right, the other half, is going to be holding a bit of cover here as we do see Overhaul rather, just up the hill, and that is a beautiful setup coming through here for Overhaul. I mean, Kalua, King can definitely look to apply quite a bit of pressure. Oh, but up comes the shots all the way from King out in the blue. The shots rain true, and that is FY now getting nearly control. Alt deleted, the pressure is there. Yogizin now hugging the rock. But that blue juice is not going to be kind. As you can see, that health bar starting to drop. The nade comes in, and that is it. Kalua capitalizes, and carnage ensues. And that's pretty much as much of the Ks that I can drop in one row. In the meanwhile, Overhaul, well, now have a bit of a leisure time, right? They can casually stroll forward into the zone, but still gotta be wary as we do have that chicken now just hopping on screen yet again. Looking at the code, be sure to pause this feed and then you can get everything claimed up as quickly as that wave now just rushes on forward. Meanwhile, it's gonna be Clot and Aizen sneaking their way up to the edge. But I like the fact that they are gonna get blocked, right? Over Dammy just gonna be holding nice and steady.
Yeah, absolutely. Now things are beginning to get quite feisty as Aizen is continuing on with his onslaught right here. He's going to sit down with one elimination, probably going toe-to-toe with his teammate, trying to see if he can get those eliminations to come through, as he does get one for himself, and he's continuing on with the onslaught right there. His teammate Clot trying as much as possible to see if he can pull up. But speaking about teams pulling up, we're turning our sights onto the Grease God, the man, the myth, the legend. He continues on with his onslaught right here as he is putting the damage onto the teams right there in front of him. He gets one player dropped down to the ground, and he is looking for those eliminations to come through, and I do believe that he's gotten it. But on the other end, the boys right there, Aizen and his teammate Clot are continuing on with their onslaught.
Yeah, of course, Force Tuana also getting tuned on out. Off they go. We also did say goodbye to Overdammy, who got overpowered, unfortunately. Now, while we are on the over topic, Overhaul are still holding steady, with King now trying to just play on that very edge. Meanwhile, Aerodynamic are going to be sneaking their way on through, trying to utilize the space as best they possibly can. But look at Grizz now just looking to lock it up. Is going to be the push, the play, as Ease will have a little bit of a struggle now trying to get themselves back up that hill. I mean, a very effortless play as Grizz looks just so confident, so comfortable. But again, can't venture off too far, because coming in from that southern side is, well, rather the eastern side, is going to be the push here from Aerodynamics.
Oh my goodness, Aerodynamics has a position where they might just be able to take down the Grease God. He has a position where he looks very vulnerable right now, and he will be put down to the ground with Hasio catching him off guard right there. That's the only way you're definitely going to be taking down the man Grease God, as he finds himself in quite a sticky position. He's in between two teams, and here comes the boys, Ace and Clot as well, who are also within this vicinity, might begin to put the work onto them. But the boys right there Clot are continuing their work, right, as they continue to send in the shots to come through. I keep saying the boys, but this is they're not boys. I mean, guys, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Anyways, Aizen is continuing his work right there as he does go in for that final elimination and takes out the boys from Aerodynamics. But speaking about teams around, we still got 4 teams right here in this one. DK, SAD is still in the game. They have still managed to get themselves into that top 4.
I mean, but you gotta commend the efforts coming through here from Ease. Starting off the match with 7 points to their name. 7, right? They now have 9. So they've added a few more to the tally. And of course, still several more victims could fall to their sprays. But let's see whether or not that is going to be in the bag for them, as King now starts to rotate a little bit further down south. Kenny closes it up. Evolution locking in their first elimination as well. Gotta love this, and I think this could be just exactly what Evolution needs to get themselves up from that second page, secured onto the first. But will they be able to squeeze into the top 6? Well, with 5 elims, they could have a very healthy dose of points, right? Being in the top 3, that's it. You either get 10, 5, or 6 points added to the total here. But let's see what is going to be the end as Ease and the rest here look to get themselves played out. Sad, I like this play as well, right? Nice and confident approach. Again, not going to be looking to overextend it just too much just yet. But, oh, the spray is there, and that is Sad getting ended. Kenny, now the only one standing between the side of Ease and that winner chicken dinner. At least 20 points being locked in. They need 24. So, I think Jesse might be secured up in pole position, but it's still going to come down to the wire to see who will be locking in the rest as the hit gets confirmed, and that is Ease with a very effortless winner chicken dinner coming their way.
Man, absolutely amazing stuff coming in from the boys from Ease as they did win that one effortlessly. Took out the boys from Cheesy or from Chessie and managed to grab that winner chicken dinner at the end of the day. By DK's calculations, my math is not anywhere near as DK's. He says that they did need 24 points. I do believe that they got 21 at the end of the day with those 11 eliminations and that winner chicken dinner. And we're curious to see what that means for the entire leaderboard. We will know today if DK's math is solid or if it is just a bit short. We will know in just a bit.
I mean, you know, that's the thing. Don't necessarily always trust Caster Math because we're trying to do it on the fly. Sometimes it's 100% accurate. Other times it's not so much, right? But it is what it is at the end of the day. What we do know, though, is we saw some very, very strong performances come through. I mean, we saw, as you mentioned, right, 11 elims dropping. We did see Psycho Bunny and Kenny also locking in a very, very strong finish on their end as well, coming through with, I believe it was 5. So it's going to be quite a bit of a toss-up to see who's going to be taking our MVP slot here in this match. But so much aggression finding its way across the board. I think the MVP is also pretty much determined at this point. But still, it's all going to come down to what those results are, what that all then culminates to with regards to our overall leaderboards. Because as we know, right, you want to play for your share, you want to play for the bragging rights as well, saying that you had the best stroll on the beach in the summer brawl, or maybe in the jungle because it was on Sanok. But either which way, a very, very exciting day. Looking at all the action from what we had. Of course, well, we are going to be dropping a code in the chat as well. So keep your eyes on the chat. Maybe that works out a little bit better. Who knows, right? We'll find out soon enough. But if you get the codes, let us know, right? Just say, I got it. Speaking about getting it as well, let's take a look at that MVP to see who's the star that stole the show for this time around. And of course, well, the answer to the question is Clot, and because I can't read the rest, but yeah, it is definitely going to be Clot to take it, coming through with 7 elims and 820 damage, Tony.
Man, absolutely amazing stuff coming in from Clot. The way they took that one in that game, it felt like it was a battle between him and his teammate Aizen. They weren't battling against other teams. They were battling against themselves. Who was going to get more eliminations? It felt like Aizen. It felt like it was a competition between him and his teammates on who was going to, keep on taking out teams, because they were absolutely aggressive in that one, going toe-to-toe against every single team. There was no time where they were taking things easy. They fought for that chicken dinner and they got it with those eliminations.
Yeah, 100% agree with you on that one. So big congratulations going out there to the side of Clot and Co. Now, as we convert it across the way, we can see, right, Aizen coming through with a contribution there as well, just looking to secure the finish. So it is safe to say that Ease, well, they got this one, right under their belt. It is locked in. As you can see, a very healthy dose. I believe that's what, about 1400 damage that they were able to secure, more or less, give or take. 1422. We'll see once we hop onto the exact damage graph, but a very, very strong performance on their end. I mean, it's good to see the step up, but it is interesting as we have we've had such a widespread, right? We had Chelsea team take the winner winner chicken dinner. We had Split team get a winner winner chicken dinner. And now we add Ease to the tally. Of course, here we go. Taking a look at that. Yep, 14-22. Right on the money. Evolution, though. Tony, look at that. 500 damage and exactly 5 eliminations.
Definitely, they were confirming every single one of the kills and not wasting any shots so far. That is, it's been a while. I've seen perfect eliminations like that. That's actually really impressive. But there's also some story on the other side for the boys from Cheesy. You can definitely see that a lot of their knocks weren't coming through as they got themselves 612 damage, but they only got 2 kills. I mean, so obviously the eliminations that they got does not tell the full story as they weren't able to finish their fights and they got third-partied.
Yeah, it's part of the inevitable. And also we've got the lovely Blue Zone doing its thing. But speaking about Blue Zones, let's take a look and see what the leaderboard situation is, right? As we are going to be jumping straight into that. So, with the points all now being tallied up, it is going to be Chessy team sitting on a glorious 38 points. Ease now hopping in on board there with their 21 to culminate in 28 total. A very aggressive showing going through from Chessy and Ease, right? 17 and 18 eliminations respectively. That is pretty dang impressive. Evolution also, right, as I mentioned, doing enough to get themselves secured all the way up in towards the 2nd place. But the buck stops at Choco Milk, right? Choco Milk locking in that 6th place finish. And just barely so. I mean, FY Esports, they also really upped the ante. I mean, they were trying, right? They put in quite a bit of effort in those first 2 matches. But unfortunately, the last one, they only secured themselves that 1 point, which came through from the elimination that Sack was able to get in. But still, the effort is there. Just so close.
Yeah, absolutely amazing stuff coming through right there from all of these teams. They did put up a spectacle for us. Hopefully, we'll be able to see more from Lycans and the boys from Old Guards in the future. As I did see some of the fans right there in the comments cheering them up. But an impressive performance all the same from all of the teams, and great gameplay coming through. And congratulations to the boys who found themselves on top.
Yes, sir. There we can see the other half of the leaderboard. Aerodynamics just gliding their way in with 7 points. And unfortunately, the old gangsters are getting sent back with, nothing but opportunities maybe to come back even stronger in the next week. The Lycans capitalizing on the placement and over Dammy and overhaul. Side by side. So there we go. What a play indeed. But of course, as we know, Tony, that then brings us to the end of all our action here today. We've seen what our duos were able to do. We saw the solos play. We saw the squads all the way back in week number 1. So that means that there's only one thing left to go, right? We only need to play our last week, which is going to be week 4. Of course, you can still head over onto the server, go get yourself registered, ensure that you bring everyone with you that you want to participate, because it's going to be squads. But I believe that we are going to be playing it out on Nusa again. So very small map and a lot of sweaty action is going to be finding its way once we head into the finals for next week. But I think on that one, essentially, we've said everything that we can. So, as you know, once we head into these broadcasts, ensure that you've got your redemption part already set up with your player ID and everything ready to go. You saw these codes. They come in quick. They leave quick. So, yeah, fastest fingers first, almost literally. But a very exciting day. Tony, what is your takeaway out of this?
I mean, I did enjoy it. I did see some really impressive performance coming in from the boys from Chelsea. We did see Aiden and his teammate try to somehow snatch that number 1 spot, but it came way too late. The boys from Chelsea had already done the work in that 2nd game. So lovely stuff, aggressive gameplay, smart gameplay from the boys from Chelsea. And like I said, for me, I just enjoyed what I was seeing over and over again. But Lycans, old gangsters, I mean, to have such OG names, I mean, you gotta do better. But anyways, we'll see more from them.
Yeah, well, I mean, you got to enjoy the names, and that's always an interesting thing that we see come through with these events. But I believe that also then brings us to the end of our proceedings here for the day. So be sure to head on over to the server, on the Discord server. The link is in the chat. I believe it's down in the description as well. So be sure to lock in on that, get yourself registered, and we could be shouting out your names as we return with all the squad action next week Friday, same time, same place, and hopefully even more PUBG Mobile action. But until then, hope you all keep fresh, stay frosty, and we hope to see you all back again pretty soon. Bye for now.